This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our guest is Emily Benazzi.
So you said creation is, no, we are the creation is us. We can see something like that. What was the exact phrase? It's okay if you don't remember.
What I just said?
Yeah.
About, no, I had seen somebody had posted something saying, literally, this is like verbatim, I believe. I don't believe in God, but I believe in the empathy and kindness and goodness. I believe being kind and empathetic and good towards others. And I said, isn't all of that God anyway? Like, isn't like being empathetic and being kind, like being good to others, that is God. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you talking about? You know, and it's not as complex as like it's made out to be. It's in those connectedness that you have with people and like how you treat yourself and how you treat others, and like that's where it lives, and it lives in love.
Right.
Like that's like God is love.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, really though. So if you're saying that you don't believe in God, you don't believe in love, that's not what you just said, because you just said you believe in empathy.
Right.
So
there are two things I'm going to say about that. But before that, so when you were saying that the creation, you use the term nature actually. Nature is important. And
we are nature. Like,
yeah, we are nature.
We're like
right.
The color of nature.
Yeah. So right then what I was thinking was Psalm 19. Because God is also in the creation. Mm-hmm. Right? And through creation, so here verse 1 says the heavens are telling of the glory of God, and their expanse is declaring the work of his hands. So the creation also shows godness. I don't know if there's a word godness, because godliness is a little different.
Like righteousness?
No, like what you were saying, God's traits. Right, you're talking about, I think that's the way.
Yeah.
Goodness is God's trait. Truth is God's trait.
Right.
Empathy is. But we also, the sad reality is we live in a culture where the term God is not really accepted. Yeah, a lot of people would say, I would rather say the universe. I would say the creator. And even in church denominations, there was a language, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And the modernism, some leaders would use creator, sustainer, and creator, redeemer, and sustainer. Mm. So you don't use that ancient vocabulary. But the thing is, there's some beauty to them. It's the same thing. We were saying, why should a man propose to a woman? Because some things are just beautiful in its traditional ways. And you're right, God is love. And when you love someone unconditionally, it's a godly trait to have, God. And then there are other things too, as you mentioned. Let me actually, but the psalm, there's another psalm which I forgot, which does talk about God and the creation. And when I say creation, more like mountains and what you call nature. And there's a lot of text, biblical text, people can look, to be a witness for the glory of God, right? And these things that we see in creation are so flowers and plants and all, they all are God's exhibition. I don't have the proper words.
And so are we.
Explain. So are we, right? So why you gotta love the other human being? Well, because traditional languages, God created the humankind in his image, right? And you gotta love the other human being. But it becomes very tricky when you use that God term, because mostly people, I saw a reel on one of the social media, and there's an elderly man, he's reading from the Bible something, it's a bus, I don't know what state, what city, and there's a young man, he's wearing a baseball hat like this and really buffed. And he just got up and snatched the Bible, or first he tried to push the elderly. The question is, if we say we are better than the others, like I don't like people who I haven't seen in New York, but in Chicago downtown, there'll be people. They'll be saying, "You're gonna go to hell. God's wrath is here," etc. I don't like those people. But should I go and push them if I don't believe? Then how can I claim, "Oh, I am better than religious people," right? Because I am doing worse than them. So it's a very interesting thing where the acceptance. A lot of people just don't accept this idea of God among us through nature or in creation or any other way, or the term God. It just
I know it triggers people.
yeah, and I just don't understand.
Well, you have to you have to look back to when they took God out of the schools, because they kind of programmed us to think that that shouldn't be said. Like, you're not allowed to say the word God. Like, it offends people. That's what happened when they took it out of the schools. You know, you couldn't really even say.
It says,
Oh yeah, we tried. Yeah, I know.
the president takes the
Yeah.
oath on the Bible.
But they took it out of the schools because they made school the religion. That's what happened.
But I mean, it's social at public places. I don't think it should be.
Well, they replaced religion. I do believe that they replaced religion with school.
So now you have started this initiative. You're meeting with other moms. You are building up your own community. You have built, actually. And how are you just living out your truth and welcoming others who might not have the same belief system as you, or mingling, for the lack of better phrase, with them who don't have the similar views and values and belief system as you?
Yeah, that's a good point, because you know I am dealing with a lot of moms that are the first time moms. So this is like their first time really ever having to be faced with the decision to leave their child somewhere, and to like, you know, is this the right choice for my child? My child like it here? And you know, I'm just really lucky. I'm just a very different person when it comes to kids, because I had that. I was marinated, you know, like in childcare for a long time. So I was just naturally thrown into being with the kids a lot when I was growing up. So I really do understand children on a different level than most adults do, because I spent a lot more time with them as a child growing up, and then throughout my whole teen years, and then into, you know, a little bit in my 20s there, I was really submerged into to children. And I feel like that's what I'm able to offer my community, is the connection and the involvement and the encouragement and the confidence building that I can ensure into kids. And so, like, you know, I'm dealing with a bunch of first time moms who really are new to being with kids, that haven't really been with kids this is their first time really being hands-on with children, and they just want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So it's been really great to know that they trust me in that way. So like, for instance, I have one child who had come but has really bad separation anxiety, like has never been away from their mom, you know, is only 3, so still really young, but like have never been away from their mom, and like would freak out and cry and like be very, very, very distraught that their mother wasn't there. And the reason why they were bringing him was so then I could help him with that. And we have gotten so far. Like, the tears don't come anymore. And maybe because he's growing and he's experiencing life a little bit more, but I really do think that it has a lot to do with that experience of coming to my program and being with nature in its own way, and it not being forced, and you know, just like, I don't know, I'm grateful that I'm able to help guide new moms that may have to navigate through this process of, like, you know, being away from their kid, and just understanding that like it's possible, and like we could approach it in all these different kind of ways, and like really be helpful that way. I've been really helpful with some families that way. And also just like helping children build up the confidence within themselves. So like, when you're doing a forest school program, you're really active, and you also have to have a lot of endurance for the outdoors, because it's cold and it's rainy and it can be snowy and it could be dirty and it could be slippery and it could be gross. You know, like, there's things out there you just don't really know what you're going to run into in the forest, and it could be scary, and there's all these different new noises and new things that you're seeing and pokey branches and just stuff. So like being able to guide these children in those atmospheres without the helicopter of being like, oh, be careful, stop, don't touch that, wait, too fast, no, no, no. They're allowed to be in nature in a calming environment with understanding that like I'm here to help manage the risk with it, but like know that you may get poked by a pokey branch or like there may be like a rustle in the wind over here. So like we help build up their confidence that like, you know, they can handle hard things and they can get through hard things. And also like I do kind of center it around like you got this within yourself, but also like, you know, the universe is helping you move along this path and like you're God's creation. Like I say that sometimes. I'm like, you're a part of this. Like you are a part of everything that you're afraid of right now. You are a part of this. You see this bridge right here with this rough ice here. You're scared to go over it. You can do this. Like you're part of that ice in a way. Like I can get really deep with stuff. And like just like seeing them kind of connect and their eyes just like switch on and just being like, I'm in control of my body and I'm in control of my fears and I am a part of God and I am a part of creation. And I just like regain like such a beautiful wholesomeness. Like they just like, you know, could do anything. So I'm so grateful that I get to help children. I get to really genuinely guide them to those understandings.
Yeah, what's the age range of these children?
You know, it's funny because yesterday I do the programs every Wednesdays and Fridays. And I literally said to one of the little boys yesterday, I'm like, you know what? This program doesn't have no age. There's no age. No age.
Well, I can come too then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You know, but it's up to the parents. You know, I've started the child as young as 2.5.
Okay.
But it's really up to the child.
You notice? 8?
The oldest that I had there was really 13. You know, so it really is open to all ages. Like really. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd say like the most common age that it goes up to, I think, would be like 7. Yeah. Like 6. 4 is pretty common. 3, 4, 5. It was really it was really aimed for 3 to 6. Just because that's kind of like where my daughter was aged at now. Now she's going to be 8. So it's been really exciting to see how to incorporate her getting a little bit older with the younger children too, because now she's like leading it. When I first started, she was the youngest. She was 2. And now she's the oldest. And she just loves it. Like she is just, when is next Wild Side? When's Wild Side? When like the kids come and they don't want to leave, like they stay for 25 minutes extra, you know, like nothing against their parents are beautiful, but like they hide from their mom. They're like, oh, I want to go. I'm going to go run back. Like, come on, mom, let's go take a walk this way. And like, you know, they're so excited. So I've created a little mini culture within this community of these kids. And, you know, like they know each other at Wild Side, you know, and like they're going to remember it. And I'm really grateful that I was able to provide this for as long as I have been. And I just wanted to get better. Like, I really just wanted to get better because I think that environmental education, we need to have more resources for them. And we need to have more resources for families that want to have these conversations possibly and be open to, you know, something outside of the norm, not have to go to traditional type of institutionalized learning centers for guidance and rule.
Wow. So you had a life full of experiences, some good, some bad, triumphs and tribulations, a lot of learning.
Yeah.
We've been talking about early on inner peace, gratification, contentment. Where was it for you the most? And where did you see God the most that you can point to God and say to your kids, even that we are part of the same creation that you're afraid of?
I think that it really just comes into those moments that I've had outside. Like really, I've like just kind of had enough of like the technological world, and I'm just gonna go for a walk, even if it is for 10 minutes, and just sit here and stare at the ground. Like literally, that's when I feel it the most. That's when I start to feel the wind around me, and I'm like, okay, I'm really a part of this, and things are going to be okay if you just let go of the worry and stop making up things in your mind, because whatever you're stressing about is an entire story you're telling yourself, and it's not real. So just like constantly checking into reality, but also constantly checking into reality in a realistic environment. Like this environment for me, this doesn't feel like a relaxing place for me. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I can really find that connection here, but I can find it on the trail, or I can find it just like sitting by water. Usually water for me, and I really think that water for children too, a very special connection that we have with its people. And I think that we need to value that a little bit more, and also maybe find God in water. And just understand that like that is what brings us to life. Our body's made up of that. Yeah, there's significance in water for me. I always feel like it's telling us a story, and I always feel like he's talking to me through the waves and like the ripples, and like these are just private moments that I have in my head. You know, I'm not like outwardly talking about these.
Water is very important, very significant, because see, in the ancient traditions, even till today, in baptism, it's done by water.
Right. Oh, there you go.
And the what else? Jesus Christ is called the water of life, right, in the Bible. And there's a text the United Methodist Church used to use, you know, when they do the Eucharist, the Lord's Supper, Holy Communion service.
Okay.
And they would say God brought out the creation from the chaos into the order, right? And which is like bringing out of the waters. Because when God created the creation, before that, it was just waters.
Yeah.
And water has a lot of significance in the Christian text, starting from the Old Testament.
See, that's interesting.
Yeah, the story of Moses.
Oh, yeah. Well,
People went through the water, the nation of Israel. Story of Noah that you talked about, the animal kingdom.
True.
Water.
Right.
Right? So water has been considered a tool. Tool is not the right word, but
No, that's fine.
Right now.
That's good.
So
I get what
for
you're saying.
cleansing, renewal, starting over, resurrection, right? So water is really important, and that's very profound to me that you find a connection with the divine through waters.
Ooh, that's fun. That's fun to soup around. I'm like sloshing souping around in my head with this. That's funny. Yeah. I don't know. Pretty deep. I also find it in watching animals too. And obviously, like, I have 2 dogs. But I also have a couple of ducks. I have like 17 ducks. So watching another species exist is such a great way to kind of like it's humbling. Yeah, it's humbling. Like I watch my ducks. Like I said, like I have a couple of ducks, so I think that watching other species exist is really humbling, and it's so beautiful to make that connection. Like, have you don't really hang out with many ducks, do you? Yeah, okay. I hang out with ducks a little bit too.
Hang out means like you.
They're my ducks. They're my pets. I have 17 ducks. They're really
No, it's not like that. But I certainly see a divine beauty
like
in animals.
You know what
in
I
the
mean?
kingdom.
Yeah, like when you look into a horse's eyes, right?
I haven't tried looking into horse's eyes.
You know, since you're really into this, since you're into like the effects of religion and faith and spirit and energy. I don't know if you know about this, but there's a thing that people do where they heal with horses because horses have like this aura that just like is astounding, and it is like really like compared to like close connection with like being with like a god, you know, or something godly, whatever. If you like really give yourself enough time to get over your own self-righteousness to connect with an animal that way, you can really, it speaks to you in so many beautiful ways. Like I get that way when I look at my ducks. They're looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm looking at them just like, wow, you know the secrets to the universe. Like there's something so beautiful, and they stare back at you and they are resonating.
In our part of the world, it's very common belief that animals, dogs and cats and donkeys and people have horses too. They sense your spirit.
Yes.
And also they could see angels and demons. And I think there is some truth to that, because this is my experience. If somebody has it, it's a bad way to say it. Like sometimes the animals, they can sense if somebody wants to pass.
Oh yes.
And same for the trees. Now, as it should be, because the plants are also living beings,
Oh my gosh.
and they sense too,
Yes.
which is actually very interesting. There was a time I was really interested in that subject, but it just like I never talked to anyone about those things. But definitely Adam, when God created Adam, the first place God created, humans and animals had a very communal relationship. And when you read the book of Isaiah from the Old Testament, you see the same image again. So the idea of heaven, there's no conflict, no tension. That tension will go away among the tension, and there won't be any tension between humans and animals, right? So, or the animals who pry or devour the other animals. So, I agree with you that the animal, I don't know why I'm calling animal kingdom, animals do understand your spirit and did you say secrets of the universe? Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But we also have them too if we give our a chance, if we're like less distraction and like really understand, like we were saying earlier, like the inner peace that you can have. I feel like that's a secret to the universe too. But then also like kind of reiterating how you say like the trees are, you know, still there and still living, and I forget exactly what you said, but
they sense your spirit, and they could also witness the spiritual world, the spirit world, right?
And they listen.
Yeah, they definitely listen and react to in a lot of ways.
And I've had a lot of conversations with the trees. So I've found a really great connection through, you know, Native American culture calls God the creator. And I've studied a lot of different kind of religions to try to figure out where I fit. Like I still don't really know. Like I've been interested in Hinduism. I've been interested in Buddhism. I've been interested in Judaism. I've been interested in just like trying to figure out what these are. And like really, like you said, it's all the same. Like at the end of the day, it really kind of comes down to like the creator. I've also studied a lot of Native American religion, like history, and the way that they explain it is very nature based too. It's almost Wiccan, you know. It's almost like nature is our god, and which is the Wiccan way, which I've studied too. I'm trying to figure that out as well. But yeah, I resonate mostly, I think, really with understanding that like we are all a part of nature. We're all nature's teachers too, and we need to first, I think, find that connection. I think that was like a really good way for me. Like I stepped into loving nature just naturally, and then it really helped me kind of form my own real connection that like I feel safe with. So yeah, I mean, like I say, I talk to the trees if I wanna.
Well, which I'm gonna say, you used this phrase earlier. God is love. I've also seen. This is my perspective, where I fear some people falling into the trap of idolatry. So God is love, but if you flip it, love is God, right? So are we talking about an emotion? So that's why I know some people don't really then clarify it, or maybe get confused a little bit. The same way, if God, I use this term based on Psalm 19, and there are other scripture passages too that talk about God being shown or revealed through the creation But I still believe there is a difference between the creation and the God, the monotheistic God, right? The creator. So when you hold on to, that's why the idea of idolatry is not limited to a statue. It could be about anything you think is more important than anything else in your life, right? And it's also a trap where you might make a thing an object, and an object could be very large or small, a god.
Yeah.
So when you end up making an object or something that has been created God, then it's not good, because there are a lot of problems and then consequences. And
you're making
something that from the
something intangible, tangible. That doesn't really work.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the world, for them, they think it might work. And they would end up putting the trust in that. And starting from humans, like, giving a dumb example here, but who's a witch? Because you use the term Wiccan, right?
Yeah.
And if someone is putting their faith and trust, this person will make this thing happen, right?
Well, that all comes down to energy, right? All that, like, you're talking, let's just get really stereotypical, like a spell, like a Wiccan would cast a spell. That's all just drawing energy. Like, they may light a candle to have the fire energy. They may have a bowl of water, right? For the water energy. So you could put your terms and your labels on what these people are doing, but really what they're doing is praying,
Right. And for also, personally, I don't like this idea of, which is Catholicism, that confession, or you have to go through somebody to get to God, right?
Wow.
And that is a form of idolatry to me. And I don't believe, and I have said that several times, I don't believe everything the Roman Catholic Church or many other denominations practice, or even the doctrine.
You can read them all.
Yes, and also these denominations started elsewhere. That's why I don't really care about a denomination, it's Baptist and all, as long as they can explain with logic. For example, baptism. Well, Baptists, or there are a lot of denominations would say they have the argument when a kid is an adult enough to make a judgment, they should be baptized. Where probably you stand, right?
Okay.
And then there's a traditional way that when a kid is born into faith-based family, or parents must be baptized. And I think both make sense. But
they have their place.
Say a new group comes, God forbid, I'm just making it up. They say you have to go through ring fire of ring, or whatever. So, which might not make sense to me. But all these denominations, they started, if you see the Roman Catholic Church's background, until 3rd century, which was a very small, simple group of people. They did not have all those bells and whistles. Right? Later on, they have added for their good. That's what made sense to them. But now, people like me would say, I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
So great job. Great job. I commend you for being on this journey so bravely, dealing with the obstacles and the challenges, and still remaining steadfast, learning about you, about God, your call, and doing something right, which is different. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. I also just feel like really grateful I made it out of my 20s, and I can't wait to see what the rest of my life has. Yeah, who knows? Never ending story.
No one knows that.
Yeah. This has been fun. It's been really nice to learn about you too, and just being able to like come together even though we come from such different places. Like, that's so cool.
Cool.
Yeah. I do feel like I'm like, I feel like I'm allowed in, in a way.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
You're allowed in. You are welcome. You are encouraged.
Cool.
You're accepted.
Thank you. You too.
And there's no judgment here.
Right. Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for creating the platform for people to do this.
Happy to do it. Thank you, Emily.
Yes, thank you.
Have a safe drive back home.